Live from the Channel 8 studios, it's Sunup San Diego.
The date was August 15th, 1960, and as you can see, the time was wrong. A brand new morning television show, one of the first of its kind in America, premiered on KFMB TV. The show, Sunup.
The original cast seen here: host Bob Mills, newsman Mel Knoepp, the weather girl Raquel Tejada, later famous as Raquel Welch.
And this is probably the best-known group of regulars from Sunup's early years.
Here they are. And 29 years later, Shane, Bob Mills, Sue White, and Mel Knoepp.
All right. Happy anniversary.
Looking exactly the same.
Yeah, sure.
Bob?
Jerry?
Shane, can you hear me now?
Fine.
How are you?
Jerry, you don't look any older to me.
No, I'm not any older to you. Bob, give us the first genesis of Sunup. You brought it from Phoenix, is that the story?
Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Tulsa.
actually. The way it happened was CBS had tried to fight the Today Show with several different morning formats. The last one was Jimmy Dean, and that finally failed, and they just tossed the time back to the local stations. So the guys in Tulsa said, what should we do? And they thought the most inexpensive thing to do was put on a video disc jockey.
And that's basically
so in
what
effect,
the
they
show
turned on the
started as?
camera and we played music. And that's how Sunup started. And 3 years later, in 1960, I came out to San Diego and we started Sunup here.
You brought the name with you then, right?
Yes, it had been used in a couple of other stations, so it really wasn't a theft.
It's a different animal, though. There were not a lot of the kinds of shows that this has become at that point. There weren't the Good Morning Pittsburghs and the Hello Toledos and the Sunup San Diegos, right?
No, it was fairly new genre at that time.
That made it the most successful show of its kind in the country. It was the only one going at the time.
What was the casting? Bob hosted the show. Sue joined a little later after Raquel Welch and A Lady We'll Meet Later, right?
Yeah, I did not have the distinction of being the gal who replaced Raquel Welch.
We're going to meet her in a little while, by the way.
I did weather and interviews and commercials.
Mel, you were the newsman
I was the
originally?
newsman for about 9 years, and then when Bob left, I took over as the host of the show.
And Shane, how did your involvement with Sunup come about?
Well, I just really kind of cleaned up.
Literally.
Yeah, I swept the floor and made the coffee, and actually I was a floor director. And I just started doing things on camera that I thought ought to be done, like, well, make a fool of myself and be comedy relief.
Developed into your own show for a long time. Shane in Wonderland
That's
was,
right.
they tell us, a terrific kid show. What years were we talking about for that?
Geez, I don't know.
That was one of them.
It was a long time ago. I still thought I worked here until I realized I wasn't getting no
Shane
check.
just came in to pick up his check this morning.
Yeah, there was no check.
It's in the mail.
Now, do you all still live here? You don't, Sue.
No, my husband and I are managing a motel in Brawley, California, and then we also have a retirement home in Mexico, in San Felipe.
Which is where you live.
Most of the time, yeah. Well, right now, most of the time at the motel. We're trying to get back into retirement. We were retired for 14 years.
Hard to break into retirement.
Yes, it is.
tough field to
It's
get
easy to
into.
break out of.
It just didn't take.
No, it didn't take.
I want to talk about what you guys have been doing a little later, but I want to talk about the show itself. We've got some stills of some of the people, and you've had some heavyweights on this show over the years. Jackie Cooper was just one. We're going to just through. Jack LaLanne was a regular, right? Came on a lot.
He was a regular on this program before he had his own show.
Yeah, he had a small feature on Sunup once a week.
Came
or
down from
twice
Los
a week.
Angeles to Long Beach to do it every week.
Johnny Mathis? Oh, that was before Mills had hair. Son of a gun. That really was the early days.
Yeah, that goes back.
Roderick Crawford, yeah.
He sobered up just for that interview.
Just lost this guy. What a gem he was.
Dennis Day.
Dennis
Yeah.
Day, yeah.
The sets changed just a little bit.
Yeah, that was a real classy set there.
Well, I'll tell you, the sets had to change every day. It wasn't as if we had a permanent studio.
Well, you didn't have a regular place?
No, every single show that went on Channel 8 at that time was in the same studio,
So
including the news.
Had to reset everything.
So Shane's job and Ray Trail's job and Bob Lopez's job was to change that set every hour or two.
I did
as
it
they
backwards
showed.
occasionally, but the clock was always right.
What sort of
And the floor was
segments did
clean.
you do? You had the celebrities, and we just saw, I guess it was a makeover, a beauty segment. What sort of other things would you do?
We had regular newscasts. We also had cooking features, the ubiquitous cooking features.
Did a lot of those.
They're colorful and fun.
Oh, yeah,
And you
people
just
like
try to not put on too much weight when you're doing that.
And we had a music segment each day, sometimes live music, sometimes recorded.
That was a regular
Did a lot of that.
feature.
Yeah,
Always
that-
had
Oh,
music.
yeah.
Always
Always
had
had
music.
music.
Had a music feature every morning.
We finally got rid of the cooking. One time I set the studio on fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the other.
It was your chili, I think.
I think it was. I think you're right. It was the chili, and then the second time it didn't set on fire, but it started the sprinklers, and we all got wet.
Now, the studio at that point was not in Kearny Mesa. Was this 5th and Ash?
Yes, it was.
Downtown.
And the music segment, Bob's idea to put a camera outside, show San Diego to San Diego, and the trash man would always happen to come
Timing.
at the wrong, the format says take camera outside at 8:15, and a trash man would come, and the trash cans would be out there.
Oh, nice.
So that's one of the things that I did. I went out there and tried to move the trash cans around and do some sort of little shtick so that people at home didn't realize that it was a mistake on his part.
Well, we're talking live television, and if we talked about all the things that went wrong on shows like this, the point is to make it look like that's what we had in mind, right? We planned it that way.
Well, it's kind of amazing that in 29 years, the show's only had 3 hosts, and all 3 of you really are here.
That's right.
And we all have gray hair, isn't that interesting?
Yes, in various shades, but we're getting there.
Well, we dye it that way so that we can look the part.
I want to show you Bob Mills at work. This is a segment of an interview with an opera star named Mary Costa, whose name has just been in the paper. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. No.
The lady you're interviewing on this tape from the early days was the voice of Snow White in the movie, and just last week filed suit against the Disney studio to get some money out of that, a lot of royalties, supposedly they owe. But this is Bob Mills talking to opera star Mary Costa in 1960 bleep.
It's grand. And this gal helps make it fun, partly because she's been in your living room so much and because she started in television. Mary Costa on stage at the Fox Theater tonight with the San Francisco Opera Company in Carmina Burana.
Thank you.
Very nice to have you here. Listen, you want to see a little Scopatone?
Oh, I'd love it.
All right.
I'd love it.
Let's play a little bit of America because it's a delightful song.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and Leonard Bernstein, isn't it? From East Side Story? Sure, it's a great
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, you want to twist a little?
No, I don't know what we're going to do, but I just want to...
You want to relax a little bit. All right.
Right.
Let's watch some America.
I still say that's like Carmina Burana.
Huh?
All this wonderful.
This is right
Oh,
here?
it is.
Yeah, yeah, with all the brief costumes and all that, huh? Look at them shake it, huh?
You swim?
I don't do the swim. Do you? You know how to do the swim?
Oh, we'd love to show you more. But Bob threatened to walk off if we showed any more of that.
Well, now we're used to laughing. We have some of the bits, I guess, that you did over the years. How long were you on the show?
Let's see. How long were you on the show?
I was on 9, so you must have been
I must have
close
been
to
on
20 or so.
something
You did it
like that.
9
A long
years.
time.
And we were here almost that whole time, right?
I was there as long as he was.
9 years.
He left and
Yeah,
he says,
yeah, we left.
what are we going to do with the other guy then?
Why am I still here?
Get rid of the other guy.
I want to show you Shane at work. Again, I started as a floor director and became a real major part of what is now Sunup San Diego. Take a look. Shane.
Well, it was clean.
Great stuff.
Did you know that, Patrick?
And that was
He's still driving it. I saw
that
him
was
in the
Route
parking
8,
lot this
right?
morning.
In those days, that was Route 8, right? At that point.
Probably.
Yeah,
Right in Mission Valley.
True. Into Mission Bay.
We're going to be back in a couple of minutes with more of the Sunup reunion on Channel 8's 40th birthday. Don't go away.
The 1000th show
was the
on
1000th.
Sunup San Diego 29 years ago. Sunup went on the air. Today, on the occasion of Channel 8's 40th birthday, we're reuniting the old team.
That's right, the A team, if you will.
The A team.
Bob Mills, Mel Knoepp, Sue White, and Shane. We were talking to them in the first part of the show. We talked about the fact that you didn't replace Raquel.
No, I sure didn't. Raquel was replaced by Artis Heisey, a very talented lady.
We have a photograph of Artis Heisey in her Sunup outfit with Bob Mills there. Tell me about the year, Artis. Artis, what year was that?
Well, I believe we started the competition in about June of '61.
Competition?
Well, we auditioned about, well, I guess the word I had was about 350 ladies.
No
and
kidding.
3 of us would come on Monday, and then they picked one of us to do the weather all week, and they videotaped the Friday show, and they did that for about 8 or 9 weeks. And Sue was also in that competition, and then at the end of that time, I was the one that was selected to replace Raquel.
Did Raquel do a big announcement like, I'm leaving, I can't stand working with Mills anymore?
No, how did that happen? How did Raquel leave?
Why would you ask me?
Mel probably knew Raquel better than any of us.
Well, she and I lived in the same area, and I used to drive her to work in the morning, and we'd talk about our ambitions in broadcasting and television, and she at that time definitely was going to be a movie star.
No doubt.
She was going to be a movie star.
She had been fairest to the fair, right?
Yes, she was.
And is that how she got the job here in the first place?
Mills can tell you how she got the job on the show in the first place.
This is the family show.
The answer to that question is yes. That's how she got the job in the first place. Well, she was fairest to the fair. But to tell you what a good judge of talent I was, I always told Raquel, stay home and take care of the kids. You're never going to make it in showbiz.
Good
That was the way I told Raquel.
Artis, how long were you part of the show?
It was just about a year.
Basically weather?
Well, we began to branch out from weather. As a matter of fact, I think one of the things that I really remember was when they sent me out on location to do my very first interview, and it was with Debbie Reynolds.
I remember that.
And I didn't have the support of the crew, and there was no Bob and no Mel, and I was out there on my own, and that was a very dramatic situation. Another thing we did during that period of time is we remoted from Mission Valley. We went down and...
From the shopping center.
From the shopping center.
Live
yes.
audience, the whole thing. Mel, you worked with another lady after Artis, long after, right? And Bob had left it. What was the chronology at that point? Now, you left the show and Mel took over as host?
Yeah. Didn't Laurel Page take over after Artis left, I think?
No, Sue.
No, I took
Sue
over
did.
after Artis, and Sarah Purcell replaced me when
There
I
you go.
retired.
Well, in between were two, Laurel and Reba Merrill.
Yeah. At what point, Bob, did you leave the show?
1969,
And then Mel became the host?
and Mel took over at that time.
And who's
right.
that there,
For another
Mel?
9 years.
And this is Laurel. Laurel was a co-hostess with
Laurel
me.
Page.
Laurel Page.
Uh-huh. You're holding something. Again, we want to save it for later, but we got to remember to talk about the live commercials on Sunup, which were part of the show forever, and there have to be some great stories with those. That's Reba Merrill, who
Reba Merrill. Reba
co-hosted.
was to be with us on the program today, but unfortunately was not able to make it.
Yeah, Sarah Purcell, we also invited, obviously, and Sarah's taping some commercials this morning in L.A. and just couldn't get her. She really wanted to be part of the show. There's Sarah, as we mentioned.
Who has gone on and
Yeah.
achieved some stature. We want to say also that this is a kind of interesting coincidence that Artis Heisey and I both share the same birthday. Her birthday
That's
was
right.
yesterday as well.
be there.
So happy birthday.
It's about you.
And these are peonies from her ranch. Which is where?
In Julian.
In Julian. These are beautiful.
We got some video of Mel and Reba at work. Now, Reba Merrill and Mel Knoepp co-hosted for...
Oh, probably about 4 or 5 years.
And you were...
Yeah, after you left, Sue.
No, then it was Sarah. And when Sarah went on to Hollywood, then Reba. Yeah.
Now, this is the set you worked on, and this was...
Reba, yeah.
we can.
Doing basically the same thing that Jerry and I do.
Is that Reba?
Yeah, I mean, the one we were going to...
No, that's Sue White and Mel Knoepp.
No, but on the video. Was that Reba on the video there? It's gone, so...
Yes, yes.
It was actually,
yeah,
it was Reba.
yeah. You went through a lot of female co-hosts.
Yeah. They'd fall, they'd drop like flies.
They went on to bigger things, right?
No, we just felt that we wanted to keep the show fresh. And
So you got fresh with them and they left, basically. You and Reba left the show in 1978. Okay?
78.
There was a 2-month period when they were looking for new host persons and auditioning and getting videotapes. And during that 2-month period, they had a variety of co-hosts auditioning, not auditioning, but it's kind of caretaking. Pete Wilson did the show for a week, Senator Pete. Then
David Letterman.
David Letterman did this show for a whole week, and apparently wasn't real terrific at it, because he couldn't be David Letterman. He had to be Sunup, but it's a different animal. They finally chose some guy from Chicago to be the host of the show. And we want to show you the videotape of one of the great moments of the woman they chose as my co-hostess, beginning in 1978. Ladies and gentlemen, by the magic of tape, Danuta. And one of her great... He says no. Listen, the equipment manager says it's going to fit. By God, it's going to fit. Come on, you're doing great.
All right, I'm coming.
4 seconds left on the clock. We're trying to get her dressed to go in for a big play, right? Imagine it's Hank Bauer and she's got to take it over from the one. Hurry, Hank.
Oh, wait.
What's this? All right, there we go. Everybody. Danuta went on to the 700 Club when you left here 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Has it been that long?
It was 6 years ago.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Co-hosted with Pat Robertson on the Christian Broadcasting Network.
Did that for 5 years.
And now, what's Danuta's life about?
Well, now Danuta is back when Pat ran for president. Danuta ran for home. and I came back to San Diego and back to Coronado. And now I do guest hosting on television shows like this around the country.
Really?
And I'm also doing inspirational and motivational speaking engagements and commercials, and basically I'm unemployed.
But beautifully so. You're doing a heck of a good job at it.
We're going to take a little tiny itsy-bitsy break. We're going to come back with more Sunup and more chat with the Sunup hosts.
While we're still employed. Don't go away.
That was my first day on Sunup.
Really?
Because I remember that suit.
And we haven't changed a bit. I'm still wearing that suit.
That was May 2nd, 6 years ago.
Wow.
So Danuta, you had been gone for how long at that point? You
almost sound like I passed away.
Well, gone in the physical sense, you know. Spiritually, you were still with us.
Gone.
Yes.
I have to tell you, I was so glad that you had
left.
I'm so sorry you're back.
Remember the ticking noises when you start your car? Sure.
No, because I didn't live here. I came here to get the job. I was one of
right.
the 125 people who auditioned for the job after you left.
We were talking earlier about the things you can't and can say on television, and in those days, you couldn't say pregnant on television, network television, and probably local, till 1969. But you have a story about a word?
Yes. You couldn't say anything stronger than gosh or darn. And one morning, Bob, I think, just kind of forgot where he was, because all of a sudden he says, "Oh, hell, it's time for Sue's weather."
Did you hear about that one afterwards?
I said
Did
doesn't
you get
sound like
calls or
Yes,
management?
we got called on the carpet. We got telephone calls. Shane was rolling on the floor. The cameras were shaking because the cameramen were so Upset, excited, no, laughing is actually what they were.
Well, Mel,
having.
the morality really had, from a news point of view, the society's morality really changed, and you guys were there during some pretty critical years.
There were a lot of changes. I was newscasting one morning, and I had a line about the San Diego City Council should. And I got the word.
Don't say it, but I know. Yeah, City Council should.
But I only got one letter, and that was from somebody
what
who
did
was
he
watching.
say?
I know.
We'll explain it to you after the program.
Just try it 5 times fast at home. The City Council should.
Okay.
You'll know what he said.
But I got a phone call from a fellow who had moved to Santa Barbara and said, "I know what you mean. That's one reason why I left that town."
Bob, what was your special memory?
My memory goes back to a couple of real quick things. One was there was a very well-endowed young lady who used to come on the program to do commercials for flower arranging. And at that time, we had microphones about this size instead of the little one. And she'd put them up under her dress like this, and they fastened around the neck with a cord. Well, just about the time she was ready to go on the air and the camera was just about to come on, that cord slipped and the microphone started going down in her front. Well, she grabbed at it and I grabbed at it at the same time, and the camera came on. And there we both were digging for that microphone.
Sorry,
that was the other quickie was we were doing a commercial on a plastic chair, the nice little casual chairs that were unbreakable. And at that particular morning, we had a group of little leaguers in the studio, and I told one of the kids, "Come up here with your bat." And just as that red light comes on the camera, hit that chair with your bat because it's unbreakable. And we could see that chair flying across the stage.
This is a commercial to sell the chair.
Commercial to sell the chair on an unbreakable plastic chair. Well, that kid hit that chair with a bat, and it shattered. Shattered the moment that camera came on.
You did a spot once for a spot remover. Remember that? And the spot remover left a bigger spot than the spot that removed. And that was live television doing a commercial.
Danuta, you had so many. We talked about one where Danuta actually blew up a duck. Right? They were roasting a duck, right? Do you remember that? And they give you a straw and you had to blow air
that's
into
how
it.
they do it, they said.
Yeah.
And I believed them. And it was a duck with the skin was sort of off it. You know, it was separated. They pulled the poor duck skin. They gave me a straw and they said, "Now blow the duck." And I said, you mean to tell me you can blow ducks like that and that's all I have to do to make it Chinese? And I put the straw to the skin and I blew. And the skin lifted, but so did the wings and the leg. And it sort of, and I pretty soon had duck all over, and I did blow it up because unfortunately, didn't explode.
No, that duck is actually still up there. It's on the ceiling.
I remember another time when we had Joan Embry from the zoo on. We had a boa constrictor. I mean, this thing was 400 feet long. And I was holding the end tail of it, and as we were talking, it was going limp on me, the end part. So I would sort of go like this, but before the interview was over, I was up to where Joan was holding the head, but the tail started wrapping around me. Do you remember that?
I think I do.
I had boa constrictor from my waist down, but the problem was that I had to do a commercial for a weight loss clinic right after that, and I only had 60 seconds or something, and Joe couldn't get the boa constrictor off me in time, so the orders were shoot her from the waist up, and so I have lost a lot of weight at this weight loss clinic, and meanwhile I'm sick because I've got a boa constrictor below my waist that it won't come off. I mean, Joe's down there trying to pry the thing.
It liked you, didn't it? Everybody liked it. Shane, do you have any special moments?
Every day it seemed like, because we had this comedy relief situation, either to music or we would go out into the community, and Ben Cutchell and Bob Gardner were camera people, and just be me and a camera person and go invent something. And like the bathtub sequence that you saw, that particular day we launched into the San Diego Bay at the end of that sequence. And Bob Gardner says, "All right, we'll take, I'll shoot you from the launching ramp, and then when the bathtub with you in it gets to me, I'll hold up my hand and stop it." And I says, "Bob, you can't stop the bathtub. It's a magic bathtub. It weighs 150 pounds. You can't do that." but you couldn't tell him anything, and so we launched the bathtub, and it ran over the camera person. He broke his light meter, shredded his shirt, so he had a boat, and we shot it over again.
Next time, believe Shane. We will be back with a lot more of Sunup's reunion on Channel 8's 40th. Don't go away. Sunup birthday list, Channel 8 is 40 today. The San Diego Police Department is 100 years old. And a regular viewer of Sunup San Diego celebrates her birthday along with Channel 8 today. Happy 79th to Clara Young. Happy birthday to all of them. Lady called me yesterday and said she was watching Sunup over the years and remembers, you go back a little further than that, though, almost. You were very young. Come on over here. Stand up. What was the name of the show you told me about?
Breakfast with Ace.
Anybody remember Breakfast with Ace here in San Diego? Shane does.
I cannot remember. It was a married couple, and Ace was a Dalmatian
Ace
dog.
was the dog. And that was the show that was on
They did it in front of a rear screen.
In front of a rear
just
screen?
Two people in front of a rear screen just talking, and
that was before Sunup, right?
Yes.
So Sunup went from the dogs, I guess, would be the right phrase there.
A lot of cowboys in between.
Thank you for coming down. 1954. Whoa. Another part of Sunup over a lot of years. Donna, how long have you been cooking on Sunup?
I think it's at least 15, if not more.
At least.
This is the second time I've been to Sunup and not cooked.
That's right.
I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
A lot of dumping and stirring over
Right.
the years. You got to have one favorite story from those days.
I think some of the favorites are when you come down, you never know who you're going to work with. And if some of the movie stars or whatever are here, and I remember one time I was making bread in a food processor, and they picked it up, and the whole thing just came up. You know, it was really stiff dough.
Yeah,
and
it was a rock. It was plaster of Paris in there. That was probably the mistake.
Almost.
You're going to be back cooking again next week?
Yes, I'll be back cooking the real thing next week.
Very good. Channel 8's 40th birthday. We've been spinning the wheel every afternoon between 4 and 8, and today is the final day of our birthday spins. If your birthday comes up, you're the 8th caller, you win something nice. Yesterday's winners were Frank Sadik of Escondido, won $1,000. Christina Chua from Poway won $500, and Marcia Andrews of San Diego won $1,000. Congratulations to all of them. Man from the Noid folks is here. How you doing?
Pretty good.
What's your name?
Larry Lacuta from Domino's Pizza.
Domino's Pizzas did something real nice for a very special organization. What's the name of the organization, Neela?
The name of our organization is Community Interface Services.
Neela Novick is with them. What basically is the organization about?
We work with developmentally disabled adults in North County, and we help them with independent living skills training.
It costs money to do that, and Domino's helped you out. Now, this was a street fair where?
At Carlsbad. Just last weekend, we raised quite a lot of money for Community Interface.
I think we can see how much. I can't read it from here. Can you tell me?
$1,132.59.
You want the check?
Absolutely.
You got it. I've had a nice hand for Domino's for helping out a real worthy organization. Thank you for being with us. All right. A lot more on Sunup San Diego. In the second half, you're going to meet the two couples that were married on the air live on Sunup, and their two children. That and a lot more, including a visitor from the zoo and all of our friends from the early days of Sunup San Diego. But first, Kathy Diamant with our Sun Update.
The Sun Update is brought to you by the Pacific Bell Smart Yellow Pages.
A murder this morning in Claremont. The victim, an elderly woman. San Diego police tell us a man was yelling for help in the 4900 block of Diane Court. When officers got there, they found him in the driveway, tied up with electrical cord and duct tape. He had been beaten. Inside, they found the woman, apparently his wife. She was dead. The suspect or suspects stole a car to get away. No one has been arrested. Police say an eviction notice was all it took to push a downtown man over the edge. For 5 hours, he held police off, claiming he had rigged his building with explosives. Mitch Duncan has more.
The hours of waiting went into the night, waiting police officers and residents waiting to get back to their apartments.
Pushing 9 o'clock here and we're still cold. There's been people out here in jogging shorts and t-shirts, and I'm a little bit warmer than they are, thank God, but it's a real big inconvenience.
Many were evacuated, others were barred from coming home. Some were taken to a recreation hall in Golden Hill.
It is now approximately 9, 10 o'clock at night, and we still don't know if we're going to sleep there tonight.
The problem began long before the sun went down, before noon, when a man who tenants say was being evicted, according to police, told apartment managers his door was booby-trapped and he would shoot anyone who came near him. There was a standoff for 8 hours until early evening when 28-year-old Troy Cobb was talked out by this police captain, the head of public affairs.
About a month or so ago, he called me to ask about a complaint that he had lodged against an officer. And I explained to him how it worked and what the laws were regarding it. And he was thankful, and that was the end of the conversation. And then today he said that he wanted to talk to me because he trusted what I had to say.
Toward the end of all of it, an off-duty swing shift nurse, a resident here, wandered into the lobby, much to the surprise of the police, after being called by a friend and told what was going on.
I threw my sweats on and I came running out of the building, and here I am.
So you basically slept through the whole thing?
I slept through the whole thing. I just woke up.
The suspect was taken to county mental health for examination. 7 otters rescued from the oily waters of Alaska are swimming free today. They were released into an unpolluted part of Prince William Sound. They are clean, healthy, and feisty. Scientists have tagged them with radio collars. They want to keep track of them and make sure they don't head back to polluted areas of the Sound. And it's still overcast, but forecasters expect it to burn off this afternoon. Here's a look at the forecast.
His name is Oscar Harris. He's 11 years old. He goes to Valley Center Elementary, and he's had some serious kidney problems. A whole bunch of kids in our audience from Valley Center, his classmates, have gotten together. They're having a big celebrity softball benefit game on the 21st of May at Valley Center Community Field. You guys can wave if you like, that's all right. And at that game, people like Kellen Winslow, Charlie Joyner, Randy Jones, all to raise money for a very special little guy named Oscar Harris. So if you're in the Valley Center area, go to the softball game. It's going to be a nice thing, and you kids deserve a round of applause for helping your buddy out.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Our next guests also deserve a round of applause. We've got a good record for marriages on Sunup San Diego. Jerry's been married how many years?
25 golden years.
That's right.
Or silver, I guess.
Silver,
right?
silver at this point. But we've had 2 couples married in the history of Sunup on the air. The first couple was married on January 5th, 1979. That was before my time here.
You weren't here. Danuta and I stood up at the wedding. We got the dress and the tuxedo, and we felt like the parents of the bride and groom. What we did is put an ad in the personal column of the San Diego Union about 6 months before that, saying, couple wants to be married on Sunup, call us. We got a bunch of couples, interviewed them, and the couple we chose was married on January 5th, 1979.
We have some footage that we'd like to take a look back. This is the wedding of John and Tracy Smart.
In token and pledge of our constant faith.
In token and pledge of our constant faith.
And abiding love.
And abiding love.
With this ring I thee wed.
With this ring I thee wed.
In the name of the Father.
In the name of the Father.
And of the Son.
And of the Son.
And of the Holy Spirit.
And of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. For as much as John and Tracy have consented together in holy wedlock, and have witnessed the same before God in this company, and thereto have pledged their faith each to the other, and have declared the same by joining hands and by giving and receiving rings, with the power vested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife.
All right,
John and Tracy Smart today. Now, that was 10 years ago.
10 years.
And do you watch that tape a lot?
Just when we're in trouble.
Well, we need to. Didn't something go, wasn't there a problem with the ring or something? I remember something at the ceremony, John. What happened?
Well, rather than giving her my left hand, I handed her my right.
Gave her the wrong hand.
The ring wouldn't fit.
The two of you have produced a beautiful young lady who is just to your left. How old are you, honey?
8.
8, and this is Nicole, right? And you're in school, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think your mommy and daddy getting married on TV? Did you ever see the tape before? I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about it?
It's excellent.
Kind of romantic to see the way they looked at each other, huh?
Let's talk about the couple here. John is in the construction business. John Smart.
Still self-employed, Smart Construction.
Smart Construction.
Since, 82.
And
commercial.
Tracy, what's your life like these days?
I'm a hairdresser.
Oh, really?
Yeah. working
Were you a redhead when you got married?
No, I wasn't.
Look how I picked that out right away. I noticed.
10 years older, too.
Yeah. There was another wedding a couple of years later. Right? You were at that one.
I was at that one, and boy, I got
She
choked
was a
up.
basket case. She cried for a week before, a week after.
It was so sweet. The date was February 7th, a week before Valentine's Day, 1986, and Dan and Nicola became Dan and Nicola Bernard, and here's that wedding.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. You may stand. And you may kiss your bride. All right. If you turn and face the congregation, may I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Dan Bernard.
And there they are.
With 2-month-old Emma. So you kept on kissing, huh?
Well, we know that Emma has not watched it on TV, or if she was, there was no reaction. How old is Emma?
2 months.
2. Now, you're from England, I remember, right? Have you been back, Dan, the two of you, as a couple?
Just on the honeymoon.
That's right. That was part of the wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You got married on Sunup, and all those expenses were paid, plus the honeymoon was a part of it.
And then we spent 2 additional weeks visiting relatives and that kind of thing.
Now, both of our couples not only are still married, they are both in business for themselves. Dan just opened his own plumbing business, right?
Right.
So plumbing and you guys ought to get together, right?
We are.
Might work
We
out.
exchanged cards already.
Yeah. What are the memories for you, Dan?
They're great. We really had a great time of it. Looking back at, we just feel real fortunate that it came out as good as it did.
It must have been terrifying beforehand. Who was the most frightened? He was, right?
John?
It was terrible.
Just the idea of getting married on television.
I would imagine getting married is scary enough.
Yeah.
But then doing it on television where people are going to remember that you did this.
We had another wedding on Sunup that you never saw, but we were very involved in. We had a producer named Dean Elwood for a long time, who now is a producer in the news department and married our current producer, Pat Elwood. They are Dean and Pat. This was their wedding, and we thought because we talked about it all the time on the show, and we also talked about their new little daughter, who is...
Haley is now, what, 7 months old?
Yeah, I think we have a picture of little Haley.
There she is. She's born in November.
It's all in the family, so to speak. Keep having kids, keep doing business, and stay happy. God bless you.
Yes, thank you.
More on Sunup after this. Well, we've been doing segments on the zoo for so many years. We thought we'd all get together and talk about a couple of old friends of Sunup. Kathy Marmack is here from the zoo, and these are...
Good morning. Anna and Arusha are longtime favorites, the cheetah and the dog.
They've been on the show a lot.
A lot of times. They're pushing 9 years old now.
And they live together.
Yes, they do. They're good buddies, good friends, and Anna's the boss.
Anna's the boss because she's a little older, right?
Right.
And she was
She's
there.
just about, 6 months older than Arusha. And he was about 3.5 months when he was introduced to Anna.
And since Danuta is here and did so well with so many animals on the show.
We have one for you,
Allison,
Danuta.
you want to bring on
Ladies
a
and
special
gentlemen,
animal for Danuta?
special animal.
I'm glad Danuta got that.
Maybe artist, would you like to help?
Come on, tell them. It's not slimy. It's not... Say it.
It's a nice snake. Where's it going?
Wherever it wants. Into the cat.
Where do you want it to go?
I don't want it to look
Were we
at
going
me.
to show a piece of video of one of our... we have had some classic segments with the zoo over the years, and I don't even know which one this is, but this is a moment that will be...
Corky, wasn't it?
Corky the Harbor Seal.
Corky the Harbor Seal, who went on to have his own book written about him.
This was on my first week on Sunup. Danuta and I did a show from the zoo. Danuta, remember that? Or stop concentrating on that snake. Our very first week here, we did a show from the San Diego Zoo. And it was...
Irving was there also.
Wait a minute.
Was it the very first show?
Get back here.
And you were the same way then.
Well, the zoo... Maybe Danuta could come back regularly. Whenever we have a snake on Sunup.
Well, on me? Okay, come on.
There, watch his head here.
Stop that, Danuta. Dog.
In any case, we want to thank all of you for being a part of the show today. Thank you very
It's very
much.
nice of you to invite us, Kathy. Thank you so much. It was a joy to see my good friends again.
It's a pleasure
Terrific.
to be alive.
Thank you, thank you.
We'll see you in another 10 years.
All right, you're going to come back, right?
Make it 12.
All right. And thank you to Artis Heiser, too, and Danuta, and the zoo, who's a ever-present part of Sunup San Diego.
Yeah, and Danuta, you can keep this as a memento of today's show.
Great, just great.
It has been terrific, and thank you. Audience, a hand for 29 years of Sunup and a whole bunch more, we hope. We'll be right back.
40 years in San Diego.
Fashions for Jerry G. Bishop from Brady's, Coronado, and Fashion Valley.
Look at Artis.
No, it's Sue.
I'm Sue, I'm sorry. Sue likes the snake.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Huh?
Lovely. All right, you want to do it.
Ask it how long it's been a snake.
Towards the cake.
How long is it? Want to keep Anna away from the cake. We have in front of us a beautiful cake signifying that today, actually, and the reason that we had this very special reunion on Sunup, is the day that Channel 8 went on the air 40 years ago. So we are celebrating that fact on Sunup San Diego. And I think all of us together maybe should sing happy birthday.
What do you think, huh?
On behalf of the
Shay,
I'm going to eat the cake.
take a good... Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, Channel 8. Happy birthday to you. And he got some. We'll see you tomorrow as we start our 41st year on
That's right.
Channel 8.
That's
Thanks
right.
for being with us, everybody. And audience, thank you, too. Bye-bye.
We need a